What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Wager Alarm live stream. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, is Craig Mish. It's Saturday night. That means week 3 super contest picks are due. And Craig and I are here to tell you who we like. We told you what we were looking at on Tuesday. Craig, how much of that has changed over the course of the week?
No, not too much, I think. I think that we feel better this week than we did last week. We're in sync, both of us, on at least 3 of the plays, probably 4. And then one of the plays, it's not even that I disagree with. I just think it's a fifth pick, at least for me. And of course, I think that when you're looking at this week, you're looking again at some massive underdogs. And I thought, we were here Tuesday night, liked Miami Thursday night, so perhaps we should have used that one. That was a really easy game. I feel bad.
Right?
Feel bad that we didn't use that. But we rarely use Thursday night because then again it forces you to put all the picks in on Thursday, and in general the Thursday night game at the Westgate is usually the least picked game of the week. And I think that in the 3 years we've been doing this, we may have used Thursday once. I want to say, like, we use it on Thanksgiving, but I don't think.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving, but we've never used it on Thursday. But you know what? Actually, we were just talking before the live stream. Craig, why wouldn't we want to use a Thursday game, especially when we start looking ahead to Sunday, and wouldn't be able to change our picks? Could it be maybe because there's a game that might not play on Sunday that we could end up selecting?
Yeah, and I want to tell people who are watching this, I think that most people at this point know me from covering the Marlins. Congratulations to them, by the way, for getting in. It was really nice today to not have to worry about baseball, and I was able to watch football all day. This was the first day in like 3 years. I watched like one pitch of the Marlins game. I'm like, I don't need to see it. I know exactly what's happening. They're in there. But the one thing that I could tell you with covering it and understanding it and talking to Major League Baseball and going through this for the last couple of months is that the most dangerous part for a game getting postponed or canceled for COVID is when you have a player test positive that no one knows is positive. Now, look, first of all, we saw the report from ESPN earlier today saying that one player tested positive. There is a sentiment that it may be a false positive, and certainly that could be a possibility given the nature of how many false positives they've been. There's a belief that Juan Soto was never even positive on the Nationals. So there's definitely that exists. So I don't want to play this panic up for anyone in fantasy or in wagering because that's not what I'm here to do. But coming from somebody with experience, if this player, indeed, the cornerback of the Falcons, in some way broke protocol and broke, maybe he didn't break protocol, but in some way came in contact with somebody that did test positive, all of those NFL tests from the Falcons are going to be due in the morning. And I can tell you that if he was positive and had this and was around the locker room and the practice field for days, I don't understand why no one is talking about this right now. Because once you get to about 5-6% of your football team testing positive, they won't play. So I think that from a wagering perspective, it's okay because the game would just get canceled. But I think it's more from a fantasy point of view. I'm shocked that there isn't more discussion from commissioners and leagues right now. And if I was a commissioner of a fantasy league, or on the flip side, if I was a player in a fantasy league and I'm in one that I have Matt Ryan, I contacted the commissioner to say, hey, like, what's the deal here if the game is canceled? Like, I think you have to go look at your team, make sure you pick. If you don't have a backup quarterback for Matt Ryan, if you don't have a backup running back for Montgomery, like it's probably a nothing. But you know what? I'd rather be safe than sorry. I just think people's radar should be up on that game tomorrow. It's not one of our games.
No.
Is it one of our games?
No, it's no. Excuse me, it's not.
It's not whatever. I think Atlanta probably would be our 6th pick or 7th pick this week. We kind of do like Atlanta.
We did. Not enough. It was just a 3-point spread. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but not enough for us to get burned by them and break another remote. So we're not going to take them. But just from my point of view on that game, I don't think enough is being talked about this unless this is a false positive. If it is not a false positive, your radar absolutely has to be up on what happens tomorrow. And then the quote will come in from the NFL at 11 a.m., Howard, out of an abundance of caution. We've heard this before. College football, Notre Dame this week, banged out, not played. FAU, not played. It's going to happen in college. It's going to happen in the pros. Unfortunately, all it takes is one guy to go out and do something even harmless, go to Starbucks or whatever. But, those are the things that they're asking people not to do. I don't want to jump to conclusions here. The Marlins, they were crushed for doing nothing wrong whatsoever. But I just think that from a fantasy standpoint and wagering standpoint, if you have the Falcons or Bears in a parlay, or you also have fantasy implications or even DFS implications, all I'm saying is when you wake up in the morning, pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on. I don't think the NFL is going to let this go right up until 1 Easter, and they're very well aware of our fantasy and gambling habits. But all I'm saying is that game it's not in jeopardy at all. I just think that we have to pay attention to what we hear in the morning.
Sure. Always better safe than sorry. When your money's on the line, we always tell you to protect yourself. And what's the harm in just staying in tune with all the latest news, making sure that that's not the case. So, all right, that PSA out of the way. We got that taken care of. Yeah. Let's get to tonight's picks here for us for the Westgate Super Contest. Loving it. Now, again, as a reminder to people, we are 5-5 right now, 3-2 week 1, 2-3 this past week. Listen, solid. We were in it at the end. There was one game last week that we knew immediately. It was Washington, that we knew that we were done. Yeah. But yes, like Craig said earlier, we definitely have, we're in lockstep on a lot of these picks, and I think we've got a really nice beat on it. So let's get started here. Number one that we're taking, the first favorite on the board that we're taking, the New England Patriots, 6.5 points, favored over the Raiders. I think that line is at 7 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, man, I mean, listen, a banged up Josh Jacobs with the hip, a banged up Darren Waller, whether these two guys play or not, we know what Bill Belichick's MO is. It's take away the top 2 scoring targets for the opposition. That's Jacobs. That's Waller. Henry Ruggs is out, so beat us with Bryan Edwards and Hunter Renfrow. I dare you. I think the Patriots do a nice job here.
Yeah, the other part of this, too, is that you mentioned those 2 weapons. Can you imagine having New England and sitting on a ticket minus 6.5 or 7 with those guys not playing? It's like an automatic pick at that point. In terms of their offense, I don't know that there is one player as reliant maybe McCaffrey when he's healthy with Carolina. I feel like Waller is like the most important player on the Raiders, really.
Yeah.
Like the amount of targets that he gets, they have no wide receiving core whatsoever. While Jacobs is a good runner, I mean, you see the carries. It's like 4 yards a carry, Like that's not a game changer type guy. It's a guy that can, end the game for you when you're up big. He can be the closer. But Waller is such a big part of this. New England's played great. They should have won last week. They were on the 1 yard line, yard line against Seattle, and it seemed like a really bad play call having Newton run it in Newton kind of dove from the 2. It was just a very bizarre ending to that game. So we will take the Patriots in this first one. I know their center is out, and so that could affect protection a little bit. I don't think it'll affect the running game all that much. I know James White also not playing in this one, but look, when Rex Burkhead James White's probably better than Rex Burkhead, but Rex Burkhead more or less does the same thing. They're going to throw the ball at him out of the backfield. New England doesn't run the ball particularly well, so you understand that this is not going to be a game that I don't think they're going to blow the Raiders out, but we do like them to win the game. And by the way, if the Raiders are playing the long game here, they're already 2-0, So if they lose this game, it's not the end of the world for them, and they do have to travel across the country. So no team will just lay down, and I don't expect the Raiders to do that, but if they could afford a loss, this would be it.
All right, beautiful. Second pick, we go to the underdog side here. Houston Texans, we're getting 4 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, listen, I get it. The Steelers' defense at home has looked a lot better than it does on the road. However, they kind of caved. They took their foot off the gas against Denver last week. Denver got that backdoor cover against the Steelers. I just feel like with what we've seen, I mean, Big Ben didn't look all that great. Not a lot of zip on the ball. He can chuck it downfield to Deontay Johnson, but that's not how you want to make your bones here. And I think that this one actually ends up being a much closer game because I think the Steelers will use a lot of James Conner. I think that we'll have a decent passing attack there, but Deshaun Watson, you can never count him out. And how many times have we seen Watson come back from a bad game to just light up the scoreboard? The Texans might not win the game, but he still puts the team on his back. He runs them in when he needs to. He makes those key throws. And I like the Texans to keep this one close.
Yeah, and Houston's had a terrible schedule. You cannot look at them as 0-2 and say, oh, they're bad. I mean, you play Kansas City and Baltimore. So if we're looking at Monday night and thinking this is the preview of the AFC Championship, then how could we not look at Houston and say they've been really unfortunate and no luck whatsoever going into Pittsburgh, having to play them in week 3? But then you ask yourself the question, well, if Houston is this bad 0-2 team and Pittsburgh is this really good team, Why isn't Pittsburgh 6 or 7 point favorites then in this game? They are at home. I think the line sort of tells you the story that Houston has a chance to win this game. I don't think Pittsburgh is very good. I think that that's where the odds have set this at, kind of telling you, trapping you maybe to taking into the Pittsburgh side, thinking, oh, all they have to do is win by a touchdown. Houston's defense is very good. Roethlisberger hasn't faced a defense like this yet. I know that their offense is a little bit of a work in progress, but I think you said it best. Late game scenario, Watson has always been known to score a garbage time touchdown or bring his team back to the point where they're attempting that onside kick afterward. They don't always get it, but I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and I do think Houston has a chance to win the game outright. They're desperate. I love backing a desperate team. And by the way, I love backing a desperate team that at the end of the season is going to win 6 or 7 games, maybe 8. And so at some point it's got to happen. I think this is the week for Houston. Money line isn't bad here either, but +4 will be our pick in the Super Contest.
All right, next game we're staying with the dogs. A surprising dog here, at least. The Giants. As bad as this defense is, I look at the Giants +4 here against the 49ers because, wow. I mean, really, just take a D Ford is out. Nick Bosa is out. Richard Sherman is still out on this defense. Jimmy Garoppolo is out on the offensive front. So's Raheem Mostert. The 49ers are really playing with a skeleton crew here. They're not even happy about staying in New York. You don't have to worry about the travel, but if you've listened to what Kyle Shanahan said about the turf, that's a major reason why George Kittle isn't going to be in this game either, and why he's not going to take any chances with his players. So I think the Giants have to throw. They don't have a backfield right now without Barkley. They're used to it. So, if you look at Darius Slayton, Evan Engram, Golden Tate even, the Giants do have the weapons to keep this game close. Could even win this one outright, depending on how it ends up with San Francisco's offense.
Yeah, we know that this game's coming down to the end. We know that this is going to be a game that is going to be within a field goal. But again, it's just really, you're taking a home dog going against the most injured team we've seen in the NFL, maybe since the Chargers last year, maybe even worse.
Yeah, probably.
I'm a fan of Nick Mullins, but again, it's a home dog. They're, they covered last week. We feel good about them. We took them last week and they covered, so we're following a trend there to see if the Giants can keep it going. In particular, I like taking a team also coming off really bad turnovers, which the Giants had. I like that because I know that that's luck in the NFL. Teams in general don't have consistency of turning the ball over unless you are like a Winston or somebody like that. Other than that, it's a ball bouncing one way. It's the hand of a defender hitting the quarterback and it falling out. And as long as Daniel Jones doesn't fumble or throw 2 picks, and I think I'd even give him a pick in this game, I think the Giants have a good chance to win. San Francisco at this point, too many weapons out. Mostert, and Kittle, you kidding me? And the quarterback? So, look, the only thing that could possibly derail us here is the unknown with Mullins. And I do like Mullins. The only thing that I would be a little worried of is, does this guy come out and we're headed to a controversy? Because I think legitimately there's a chance that Mullins could be as good as Garoppolo, because I don't think that anybody's looking at Garoppolo as Brady or Montana or anyone like that. So that's my fear, is this guy comes out, throws for 400 yards, and we're sitting here next week talking about what do they do? But we're gonna back the Giants again, and I have no issue with Barkley being out either. I don't think that that's a huge factor for me.
All right, so that's our third game. Game number 4. We head to the afternoon games, the 4:00 showing of the Dallas Cowboys.
I thought we missed one.
No, we got. No, we don't. We don't miss anything. Gotcha. Come on, man. Come on. I'm steering this ship here.
My bad.
Right?
Gotcha.
Focus. We're going to the Cowboys Seahawks game. This one is supposed to be an outright bonanza. The line has moved up to 57. I mean, it started off at 55
is that what it is?
and a half.
You know what? You got me on that one. I didn't even know that was the case.
Oh, it is.
Not really that high?
It is that high.
An NFL game?
Crazy. I mean, again, a bit of an overreaction to how many points were scored last week. However, the secondary for the Seahawks is terrible. The Cowboys defense has been absolutely terrible. Losing Leighton Vander Esch in the middle, losing everything. They just lost Awuzie, their best corner right now, on top of the fact that they lost other guys to the secondary before this. This defense is falling apart. Russell Wilson can easily carve them up. However, there's no secondary there for Seattle. There is no more Legion of Boom. They have a lot of problems there. They've given up the most passing yards per game so far through the first 2 weeks, 424. 424. So Dallas with Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Ezekiel Elliott, they can put up points as well. The fact that they're getting 5, granted it's on the road, but the fact that they're getting 5, listen, I think that this is the rare time that we can enjoy taking Dallas without having to pay a huge tax on them.
Yeah, and again, a normal situation, a 1-1 team, you're probably getting 6 points if the team is not named Dallas and named somebody else. So, but I'm willing to take Dallas as a dog. I do think that they have a chance to win the game outright. What you're sort of hoping doesn't happen in this game is like if it plays to what the line is here in terms of the total, is like the score is 27-27 and there's a minute left and Seattle has the ball and you're like field goal, right?
And
you're just hoping that they don't score that touchdown, because then that would kill us, in that spot. And it very well could happen like that, but that's where you want to be. And look, Seattle, I mean, I understand they're a good team. They're going to make the playoffs. They got a chance to win the division. But were they really that impressive against New England last week? I don't think so. They didn't look that good to me. They could not stop the Patriots at all. And if you feel that Prescott is as good or better than Cam Newton, how do you not back Dallas in this spot, getting 5 points? New England was only getting 3 or 4. So. But you saw what happened at the end of the game there. I think we're headed to a similar ending. It's going to be a great game, I would say, on Sunday. We have 2 really great games this week, that one and then the Monday night game. But we'll take Dallas plus the points and hope this game is within a field goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for our final pick, we're going to the Sunday night game. Green Bay heads down to New Orleans. Listen, again, we've talked about the fact that the Superdome with what, 25% capacity, is that what they're allowed in there? It's just not the same. Drew Brees does not look the same. Michael Thomas not in there. There's a ragtag group of wide receivers in Traquan Smith and Emmanuel Sanders, who didn't even get a look. I mean, he barely got looked at by Brees.
Yeah, very weird.
They lost Josh Hill, one of their tight ends. They've got Jared Cook. There were so many penalties and so many things wrong with that Saints defense, which, listen, normally is a decent defense. Now, I get it. We expect regression, win regression from the Packers from last season. We expect certain things. They don't have Devontae Adams. However, I think the Packers, with Aaron Jones and what he's capable of doing, Valdez-Scantling, Aaron Lazard, they've got a little hodgepodge group of tight ends who can catch passes. Not great, but a couple. I think that they can actually keep this one super close. I don't believe the Saints are as formidable as we once thought. And I mean, this is a team that we looked at and we said in the preseason that this was the best team in the NFC, and this was a team that could come out and could be a favorite for the Super Bowl. I have a hard time seeing that based on what I've seen from them through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's really interesting now when you look back on it. And again, no indictment on Brees necessarily, Howard, but they went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater. And now you look back on that and say, I wonder if playing the more conservative approach with the defense they have is the way to go, because Brees has just never played conservative before. Look, they're basically telling you these teams are even here at this point, with the line being 3, because every home team is a -3. And this is one of those places where home field is just a huge disadvantage, not having the crowd. I know that they said that they're going to raise the decibel level now to 80 over 75. They're allowed to do that now. They made that decision, I think, today or yesterday. But I don't think that's going to play a huge factor. The other thing that I like, and it's really surprising to me a little bit, is the way that Rodgers has played. Like, Rodgers, it really feels like, and we could be completely off by this. We don't know what goes on with guys personally, but it does certainly feel like this guy is motivated. I mean, I don't know, but whatever happened in the offseason with not adding weapons and adding a quarterback, I mean, maybe those things sort of sparked him. I don't think so. He's headed right to Canton in the Hall of Fame as soon as he's done, and maybe this is his last year there. He's making that a really tough decision based on the way he's playing. So another game I think that's going to be very close, but no home crowd. Aaron Rodgers in the fourth quarter, up, down, they're not pressure like there normally is in a spot like that. So if the Saints aren't, if they're telling you the Saints aren't any better than the Packers, I'm going to back the team that's playing better. So we'll back Green Bay. Take the points.
Take the points. I like that. Saints actually 5-5 at home in their last against the spread in their last 10 home games.
Yeah.
So there's not even, you're not even looking at that a massive home field advantage. So I like that. I like it a lot. I love our picks this week.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are good. Now, we've already said that we just want to enjoy Monday night, so we're not even going to look at that. But out of the other games here, Craig, was there maybe a borderline sixth pick that you wanted to eyeball?
Yeah, Cleveland is another one for me. I do think that I love a team that's a favorite that can run the ball, because I know at the end of the game they're not giving the ball back to the other team, and that's what Cleveland does well. I know Cincinnati put up a really good fight against them, but I think that may be a product of the Bengals offense actually being pretty good. I don't hold that against Cleveland at all. And they've found the answer to how to win games, I think, with Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's a duo we're going to be talking about at the end of the year, of both guys, I think, rushing for 1,000 yards and multiple touchdowns. And I know that hurts for people in fantasy that have Odell Beckham or Landry or even Baker Mayfield, but they've given me no reason to think that they're just not going to run all over Washington. And that line's now 7.5, and the Super Contest at 7. So if you're playing online on some of the offshores, you could probably buy a half a point. Some you can't. So that's just another one. I don't love ever laying big points, but to me that's something another where the line is telling you something here. Like, even with Cleveland not really playing well the first couple weeks, even with Washington, not like why is the line so high? Like, it feels high, and usually when those are high like that and it's going up, it's sort of dragging you to take Washington in this spot, and I think it's the wrong spot. I think Cleveland probably in like a 28-10 type game, just a lot of running from them. And at the end of the game, if you take Washington, you're looking for that backdoor cover, and you're just watching that time tick with Chubb and Hunt running up and down the field. It's really hard to envision that. So Washington, to me, now starts losing like a lot of games in a row, and I think that this is probably the beginning of that.
It's probably, you're probably right on that. I think if it were a different team, obviously facing Cleveland right now with Greedy Williams out, Denzel Ward questionable for this game, I just don't see Haskins hitting McLaurin or
he can
Steve
hit
Sims.
McLaurin once or twice, but they I'm not a big Gibson fan. I don't think that they run the ball particularly well. They really they're the kind of team that once they get down, I don't know that you're going to see them come back. And I thought that Arizona set that blueprint last week with that. And I know they didn't have a ton of success on the ground, but they had the attempts. Mm-hmm. And they were doing the same thing that I think Cleveland will do this week, which is just get up big and then just start handing the ball off. So yeah, it does seem to me that the novice bettor would look at it and go, my gosh, give me the points here in this game. It's like Cleveland's not that good. But the line is telling you that maybe this is a blowout on Sunday, but not strong enough for me to use here. But I definitely wanted to mention that would be the sixth game for me. And I also do like Atlanta this week against the Bears, but it's more an indictment of the Bears. But clearly, with everything happening, it's just not worth diving into. And again, and another part of it too is that, like, let's say hypothetically one other player is test positive for COVID, and remember, they have rooms where these guys are studying, and that guy was in the defensive backs room. Now they're down 2 or 3 guys. What do they decide to do? Maybe they still play. The NFL's wacky, like they'll like they don't care. Maybe they just say, we're going to go ahead and play anyway, and they'll be at a massive disadvantage at that point. So it's just not worth taking. But I don't like the Bears at all. I think that shoe's going to drop at some point.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. Those are our picks. Just to recap: Patriots -6.5, Texans +4, Giants +4, Cowboys +5. And Green Bay +3. That's right. 1 favorite, 4 dogs. We're ready to rock this week.
That's how I know we're going to do well. When we load up on the dogs, I know we're in good shape.
There it is. Well, the picks are in. We're just waiting for that ticket to get sent to me. And once that happens, I will post this over at wageralarm.com, where we post all of our picks and give you the full rundown so that you can see that we put our money where our mouths are. So that's going to do it for us here at the Wager Alarm live stream. For Craig Mish, I'm Howard Bender. Big thanks to John and Pemba, our producer today. We'll catch you next time.